What do you do when someone stops playing fair? You know the exact moment. The fake smile, the insult disguised as a joke, the calculated move in the shadows. Your heart rate rises. Your jaw tightens. You feel the overwhelming urge to react, to expose them. Do nothing. That is amateur behavior. Most people react emotionally and lose the game. Machiavelli understood the structure of power differently. Strength isn't loud. Today, you learn the rules of ruthless psychological warfare, not just how to defend your position, but how to make sure they never dare to try again. Rule 1. Weaponized silence. When someone plays dirty, your instincts will lie to you. They will scream at you to react, to justify, to defend your honor. Do not. Defense is the language of the guilty. It is the noise of the weak. The amateur rushes to speak. They throw words like rocks in the dark, hoping to hit something. They want to prove they are right. You do not care about being right. You care about winning. So what do? You do nothing. You say nothing. You let their words hang in the air. You let the silence suffocate them. Human beings are terrified of a void. When they attack you and you do not react, you create a vacuum. Their brain panics. They expected resistance. They expected anger. Instead, they hit a wall of absolute nothingness. They will start talking again. They will try to fill the silence. And in doing so, they will over-explain. They will reveal their insecurities. They will give you their strategy. Strength isn't loud. It isn't. Strength is controlled. Not through noise, not through anger, but through strategy. By remaining silent, you force them to doubt their own move. You shift the frame from their attack to your quiet judgment. You are no longer the victim defending yourself. You are the observer watching a fool perform. This is the foundation of structural power, but silence alone is not enough. You must master Rule 2, total emotional detachment. When the attack happens, you will feel it in your body, the rush of adrenaline, the heat in your chest. This is your biology trying to control you. You must cut the cord. Why did they play dirty? They did it to pull you down into the mud. They want you angry. An angry opponent is a blind opponent. When you are furious, your vision narrows. You lose sight of the battlefield. You focus only on the immediate insult. That is exactly where they want you. They want you reacting to their moves, playing their game. On their terms, you must view their attack not as an insult, but as data. When they strike, they are handing you a map of their own weaknesses. People attack others where they feel most vulnerable themselves. If they attack your intelligence, they feel inadequate. If they attack your status, they feel small. It is never about you. It is always about them. Strip away the emotion. Look at their actions mathematically. They made a move. Now, what is the counter-strike? The amateur feels hurt. The strategist feels curious. You must kill the part of you that takes things personally. That part of you is a liability. It is the structural weakness your enemies will exploit. If you want to be dangerous, you must become untouchable. And nothing is more untouchable than a mind that refuses to be provoked. You observe. You detach. You analyze. You let them exhaust their ammunition on a ghost. Let them think they have won the moment. You are playing for the end game. Remember this absolute truth of psychological warfare. The first man to reveal emotion reveals position. Rule 3. The anatomy of power. When a person plays dirty, they do not do it in a vacuum. They do it because they believe they have leverage. Your job is not to fight back blindly. Your job is to locate that leverage. You must step off the battlefield and become the supreme observer. You stop being the victim. You become the architect, analyzing a structural weakness. Ask yourself the fundamental questions of warfare. Who benefits? Who gains? Why now? What is giving them the audacity to strike? Every attacker has a foundation. Some rely on reputation. Some rely on alliances. Some rely on manipulation and charm. They think this foundation makes them safe. It does not. It makes them predictable. Look closely at the person trying to tear you down. What are they hiding? What is their greatest insecurity? People project their own structural flaws onto their targets. They show you exactly where they are weak by the exact method they choose to attack you. You are scanning the radar. You are mapping their vulnerabilities. You do not strike yet. You simply gather data. You watch. You learn. You let them believe they are in control while you completely dismantle their structure in your mind. This brings you to Rule 4. Sever the supply line. Amateurs attack the enemy directly. A master of strategy attacks the enemy's resources. You do not engage the person. You remove their leverage if their power comes from an audience. You remove the audience. You do not argue with them in public. You deny them the spectacle they desperately crave. If their power comes from a specific alliance, you introduce subtle doubt into that alliance. You do not spread loud rumors. You simply ask the right questions to the right people. You plant a single seed of paranoia and let human nature do the rest. If their power comes from your emotional reaction, you cut off that supply completely. You give them absolute nothingness. An attacker without a supply line is a fire without oxygen. It suffocates itself. They expect a direct confrontation, a loud argument, a messy, emotional fight. That is the only way they know how to win. You refuse to play their game. You starve them of the psychological reaction they need to survive. They will escalate. They will try harder to provoke you. This is not a sign of their strength. It is the death rattle of their strategy. They are running out of supplies. Watch them panic. Watch them scramble to regain the frame you quietly took away. You did not raise your voice. You did not break a single sweat. You simply observed their structure, found the load-bearing pillar, and quietly removed it. If this is already shifting the way you see conflict, drop a comment below and subscribe. Because the deeper rules get even more ruthless from here. Rule 5. The art of borrowed force. When an opponent plays dirty, they are relying on momentum. They throw a psychological punch and expect you to either block it or punch back. Both reactions require your energy. Both reactions validate their attack. You must do neither. You do not stop their momentum. You pull them forward until they lose their balance and collapse. Picture the scenario. You are in a room. Someone drops a passive-aggressive remark, a subtle insult disguised as a joke. They smile. The room goes quiet. They are waiting for your reaction. Your blood boils. You want to insult them back. You want to defend your honor. If you do, you fall into their trap. They will tell you to calm down. They will tell you it was just a joke. They win, so you do not fight back. You lean in. You force them to own their aggression. You look them dead in the eye, your voice completely flat. And you ask a simple question. I am not sure I understand. Could you explain what you meant by that? Watch what happens. The temperature in the room changes. A joke relies on ambiguity. By asking them to explain it, you strip away the camouflage. You force them to stand in the harsh light of their own malice. They have to either admit they were insulting you, which makes them look bitter, or they have to backpedal and stutter, which makes them look weak. You did not raise your voice. You did not defend yourself. You let them dig their own grave with their own impulsiveness. This leads directly into Rule 6, reframing the perception. He who controls the frame controls the reality. When someone attacks you, they are trying to force you into a specific frame, the frame of the defendant. They want to be the judge, looking down on you, demanding answers. The amateur accepts this frame. The amateur provides evidence. The amateur pleads for a fair trial. You are not an amateur. You do not participate in their trial. You destroy the courtroom when they launch a baseless attack, when they raise their voice, when they try to publicly humiliate you. You do not address the content of their words. You address the nature of their behavior. You look at them not with anger, but with clinical fascination, like a scientist observing a struggling insect. Then, you shift the frame. You say, "You seem incredibly emotional right now." Or, "Are you okay? You are acting very out of character today." This is psychological devastation. You have completely invalidated their attack. You did not fight their logic. You attacked their state of mind. You demoted them from a powerful adversary to an unstable patient. They wanted to be the predator. You just turned them into a toddler, having a public tantrum. Their ego will shatter. They will try to scream louder to prove they are rational. But the more they fight, the more they validate your new frame. Everyone watching no longer sees a strong opponent dismantling you. They see an erratic person losing control, while you stand there, completely untouched. Offering pity instead of fear, the amateur fights the accusation. The master dissects the accuser. You never absorb their force. You simply redirect it, step aside, and watch them shatter against the wall. If your perspective on conflict is already starting to shift, leave a comment below and subscribe to the channel. Do it now, because the rules you are about to learn cross the boundary of conventional morality. We are moving from defense into the shadows. Rule 7. Harvesting the blind spot. When an enemy plays dirty, they expect immediate retaliation. When it does not come, they experience a temporary sense of victory. Let them have it. That false victory is your greatest asset. It breeds arrogance, and arrogance breeds carelessness. The amateur demands an apology. They confront the betrayer to seek closure. Closure is an emotional fantasy. You do not need closure. You need intelligence. When someone reveals their true nature to you, you do not interrupt them. You do not expose them. You let them continue operating under the illusion that you are blind. This is the blind spot. They wear a mask for the world. But because they think they have fooled you, they will let the mask slip when they are around you. They will speak a little too freely. They will reveal alliances they should have hidden. They will leak information because they believe you are too weak to use it. You become a vault. You collect every whisper, every contradiction, every subtle shift in their behavior. You do not act on it. Not yet. You are stockpiling ammunition in absolute silence. But there is a secondary effect to this rule. It is the deployment of paranoia. Human beings cannot handle unresolved tension. When they betray you, and you do nothing, their subconscious begins to turn against them. They know what they did. They know you should be angry. But you are calm. You are polite. You are completely unbothered. This breaks their psychological framework. They will start to wonder what you know. They will overanalyze your simple greetings. They will dissect your emails. A brief glance across the room becomes a terrifying question mark in their mind. You do not need to threaten them. Their own guilt will manufacture the threat for you. You plant the seed of the unknown, and their paranoia waters it. They will exhaust themselves trying to predict a counterattack that you have not even planned yet. They are fighting ghosts. You are simply watching them unravel. This is the true nature of dark psychology. You do not destroy the enemy. You set the conditions for the enemy to destroy themselves. Rule 8. Weaponized paranoia. The human mind is a prediction machine. It needs patterns to feel safe. When an enemy attacks you, they predict a response. They expect anger. They anticipate a defense. You deny them both. But now, you take it one step further. You introduce anomalies. You begin to act in ways they cannot decode. You do not threaten them. A threat is a warning. It allows them to prepare. Instead, you smile when you should be angry. You agree with a subtle insult they expected you to fight. You hold eye contact just 1 second past the point of comfort. You give them a compliment that feels structurally identical to a threat. Their brain will panic. They will try to solve the puzzle of your behavior. They know they played dirty. They know they are guilty because you are not reacting normally. Their deep-rooted insecurity will fill the void. They will stay awake at night, dissecting your meaningless words. They will manufacture their own terror. You do not need to lift a finger. You just plant the seed and let their own paranoia do the work. This prepares the ground for Rule 9. The asymmetrical counterstrike. You do not strike back immediately. You wait for the exact moment they feel safe again. The moment they think you have forgotten. And when you move, you do not attack their armor. You attack their exposed nerve. Amateurs seek a fair fight. There is no fair fight in psychological warfare. You have mapped their structural weakness. You know exactly what they value most. If they rely on their reputation for competence, you do not call them incompetent. You quietly engineer a situation where their incompetence is put on public display. You let them fail under their own weight. If they rely on a specific alliance, you drop a single undeniable piece of truth that shatters the trust. You do not raise your voice. You do not show a single ounce of anger. Anger makes you look like a victim seeking revenge. Cold, calculated precision makes you look like a judge executing a sentence. You want them to realize they have lost. You want them to know exactly who orchestrated it, but you do it in a way that leaves your hands completely clean. Never argue. Never scream. Noise creates resistance. Fear creates compliance. Rule 10. The absolute finish. When you enter the final stage of conflict, your biology will try to betray you one last time. You will see your enemy struggling. You will see their structure collapsing. And in that moment, you will feel the sudden urge to be kind. You will want to offer mercy. Do not. Mercy is a luxury reserved for honest mistakes. It has no place in psychological warfare. The amateur defeats an opponent and then extends a hand to help them up, hoping to earn their friendship. This is a fatal miscalculation. When a person plays dirty, their ego is their primary engine. If you break them and then offer pity, they will not feel gratitude. They will feel humiliated. They will retreat to the shadows, nurse their wounded pride, and wait for the exact moment you are vulnerable to strike back. Machiavelli understood this trap perfectly. He wrote that if an injury has to be done to a man, it should be so severe that his vengeance need not be feared. You do not deal in mercy. You deal in permanent consequences. This is not about physical retaliation. It is about the complete eradication of their leverage. You do not just win the current battle. You destroy the bridge they use to cross into your territory. If they used a specific piece of information against you, you drag it into the light and own it completely, rendering their weapon useless forever. If their power came from their social standing, You ensure their reckless behavior is quietly, undeniably exposed to the very people they rely on. You do not leave them with a fraction of power to rebuild. As you dismantle their final pillar of support, they will panic. They will realize the game is over. They will suddenly apologize. They will try to play the innocent victim. They will beg for the empathy they refuse to give you. They will make a tremendous amount of noise. And you simply stop. You do not gloat. You do not deliver a speech. You do not explain how you outsmarted them. You give them absolutely nothing. You stand there in total, terrifying silence. You watch their power structure dissolve into dust. You leave them entirely alone with the wreckage of their own impulsive strategy. They wanted to drag you into the mud. Instead, you elevated yourself to the position of an untouchable architect. You did not just survive their dirty game. You reprogrammed their reality. And I promise you this, they will never dare to try you again. The game of power is not played with loud words or emotional reactions. It is played in the quiet, calculated spaces between an attack and a response. Most people will never realize this. They will spend their entire lives as reactive pawns. They will be easily manipulated by the insecurities of those around them. Most people will keep losing because they let their emotions dictate their strategy. They will constantly beg for fairness in a world that respects only leverage. But you now understand the structure behind power. You have starved the part of you that desperately needs to be understood. You have traded the fragile illusion of being liked for the absolute, untouchable reality of being respected. When they play dirty, you do not panic. You observe. You reposition. You remove their leverage. And when necessary, you finish it. You are no longer the victim of their impulsiveness. You are the quiet architect of their consequence. If this mindset shift has permanently altered how you view conflict, leave a comment below and like this video. Subscribe to the channel. Power favors the prepared. Ensure you are ready, because the next lesson will take us even deeper into the shadows. The game has just begun.